The salt hit me first, that briny sting of low tide at Willow Cove, like the ocean was whispering my name, Jake Tanner. Welcome home. I'd been gone 20 years, chasing storms with the Coast Guard, but now I was back, standing on the same creaky dock my dad built, the one where I used to chase crabs as a kid, barefoot and fearless. I came back to start over, to rebuild Dad's old crab shack Tanner and Sons in, maybe find a little peace, the kind that comes from honest work, fresh air, and the sound of waves slapping wood. But peace? Yeah, that didn't last long. Enter Linda Voss, the queen bee of the Willow Cove HOA, strutting around in her crisp blazer and fake smile, like she owned every plank of this harbor. She was the kind of woman who'd fine you for planting daisies in the wrong shade of yellow. I'd heard about her before I even unloaded my first crab. Trap locals whispered her name like it was a curse. But I wasn't here to make trouble. I just wanted to sell crabs, same as Dad did for 30 years before the cancer got him. His shack was my inheritance, not just wooden nails, but a promise his name carved into every weathered board. I spent weeks fixing the place up, new paint, a sturdy awning, a sign that read Tanner and Sons Crabs, EST 1962. That ampersand hit me hard, like a knot in my throat I couldn't swallow. Most folks around here knew me, or at least they knew Dad. A few waved as I hauled buckets of blue crabs to the dock each morning. Others just nodded, their eyes soft with memory. But Linda? She didn't wave. She didn't nod. She just watched, her lips pursed like she'd bitten into a bad oyster. The first warning came in a crisp envelope, taped to my shack like an eviction notice. This commercial activity violates Willow Cove HOA Covenant 4B. Cease operations or face penalties. Signed, Linda Voss, HOA President. I laugh at me dock, my family's dock, built before this HOA even existed. I figured it was a mix-up, some overzealous paperwork. So I ignored it, kept my chalkboard sign up, kept my crabs on ice, kept cracking shells under the morning sun. Big mistake. 3 days later, she showed up, heels clicking like gunfire on the dock. "Mr. Tanner," she said, voice sharp as a fish knife, "you're running an unauthorized business." I looked up from my bucket, crab claws still twitching in my hand. "This is my dad's dock, ma'am. Been here since '62. Same business he ran." She didn't blink. The HOA governs this waterfront. No seafood vending, period. It attracts pests, rats, gulls, you name it. I leaned back, squinting at her. "Rats? Lady, the only pest I see is standing in front of me." Her eyes narrowed, but she didn't flinch. "Prove this dock is yours, or I'll shut you down." That night, I sat out there alone, legs dangling over the water, the marina lights flickering like ghosts. I thought of Dad, humming his old shanties, measuring crabs with a ruler he kept in his pocket. I'd faced hurricanes, smugglers, capsized boats, but this felt personal, like Linda was trying to erase my family's name. I wasn't just fighting for crabs. I was fighting for him. Next morning, I called the county records office. Got a nice lady named Ellen who sounded like she'd seen it all. "You got the deed?" she asked. I did, buried in a dusty box with Dad's old ledgers and faded photos. Parcel 4721, deeded to the Tanners in 1962. Clear as day. Ellen confirmed it. HOA's got no claim on private land, Jake. They're bluffing. That was my first deep breath in days, but I wasn't done. I needed more than a deed. I needed a plan. Linda didn't waste time. Another letter arrived, this one with a $300 daily fine and a photo of me showing a crab to a kid labeled unsanitary conduct. Unsanitary? I'd spent my life keeping things shipshape. That stung worse than the fine. Then the vandalism started. My sign got smashed, my cooler tipped over, ice spilling into the harbor. No proof it was Linda, but I knew. I put up a camera, a cheap one tucked under the awning. "Smile, you're on candid camera," I thought. nailing up a new sign, Tanner and Sons still standing. The community started to crack. Old customers like Mrs. Hensley, who used to buy a dozen crabs every Friday, stopped coming. Linda said we could get sick, she mumbled, avoiding my eyes. Others whispered about health risks and HOA rules. Linda wasn't fighting with fines, she was fighting with fear, turning neighbors against me. But I kept showing up, hosing down the dock, icing the crabs, writing the day's prices on my board. Even if no one bought, I wasn't going to let her win. Then I found Ida 1979 HOA charter, buried in county archives, listing my dock as exempt from their rules. I cross-checked it with zoning maps and meeting notes from when Willow Cove was formed. My parcel wasn't theirs, never had been. I had Linda dead to rights, but I needed the right moment. That moment came with a flyer for the HOA's quarterly meeting. Mandatory attendance. Perfect. I showed up in my Coast Guard blues not to flex, but to remind them who I was. The clubhouse was packed, folding chairs creaking, neighbors murmuring. Linda stood at the front, all smiles, until she got to unauthorized commercial activity. She didn't say my name, but every eye turned to me. This dockside operation violates our standard sanitation, safety, aesthetics, she said, her voice dripping with fake concern. I stood, slow and steady, and walked to the podium. My name's Jake Tanner. I started, laying out my papers. This is the deed to my dock, 1962. This is the zoning map showing it's private land. And this is your own charter from 1979 saying my parcel's off limits to HOA rules. I let that sink in. You don't know my dock, Linda. You don't get to find me, threaten me, or spread lies about my crabs. The room went quiet, then erupted. Clapping, cheering misses. Hensley was on her feet, tears in her eyes. Linda's face? Gray as a storm cloud. She didn't quit, though. Next came a lawyer's letter trespassing, slander, the works. Then she called the sheriff. A young deputy rolled up one morning, Linda trailing him like a vulture. You Jake Tanner? He asked. I nodded, handed him my deed and the charter. He read them, frowning. Linda piped up. He's breaking HOA rules. The deputy cut her off. Ma'am, this is private property. No, HOA jurisdiction. Take it to court if you want, but I wouldn't. Linda froze, her clipboard shaking. I offered the deputy a crab. He laughed, waved me off, and drove away. The tide turned after that. Neighbors came back, Mrs. Hensley, the Burks, even old man Carter, who hadn't eaten crab since '95. But Linda wasn't done. She pushed new HOA rules, signage bans, noise limits, anything to box me in. Then the city called a hearing, not just for me, but for HOA overreach across the county. Turns out, Linda had a history finding a kid for skateboarding, harassing a vet over a wheelchair ramp. The hearing room was a circus, reporters, bloggers, neighbors with their own grudges. Linda took the stand, voice wobbling. I was protecting our community, she said. Then Mrs. Hensley stood up. You threatened me over wind chimes, Linda. Wind chimes. The room laughed. Linda snapped, pointing at me. He's a liar. He forged those papers. She threw her notes, mascara streaking, and stormed out. That was if their empire crumbled. She resigned the next day, citing health reasons. I didn't gloat. Instead, I got to work. The dock became more than a crab stand. We hosted crab boils, open mic nights, even a small wedding. A local artist painted a Murala giant crab with "Welcome to Willow Cove" scrawled across it. Kids ran down the planks, laughing. Veterans held memorial. A poet read by lantern light. The dock breathed again, alive with stories, not just crabs. But here's the thing, Linda wasn't the real villain. She was just a symptom, someone who thought control was the same as community. I got a letter from her, slipped under my door. I thought I was protecting this place. I was wrong. Your doc healed something in me. I burned it. Let the ashes scatter into the harbor. Forgiveness isn't always about holding on, it's about letting go. Now, the dock's a hub. Tourists come for crabs. Locals come for connection. A woman named Sarah, from another HOA nightmare, asked for my help fighting her own battle. I gave her my lawyer's number and told her, "This dock's yours too. Fight for what's right." She won her case last month. Me? I'm just a crab guy. But sometimes that's enough to change everything. So what do you think? Was I right to fight Linda's rules? Or was she just trying to keep things orderly? Have you ever faced a petty tyrant like Heron HOA, a boss, a neighbor? Drop a comment, share your story. Let's keep this dock open for everyone.